Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Woo! We've got an in-person session for you today on wealth and your careers. I've got the one, the only Susan Cevette. Okay, this is the queen that I trust with my money when I'm like, gee, I want to buy a new car,
Mm.
can I? Gee, I want to go and become a digital nomad and travel all over the world. Can I do that? Gee, I want to retire when I'm 55. Can I do all those things?
Maybe not all of them.
She's my advisor, ride or die on money, Susan Cevette, and she also runs Water's Edge Wealth Management. And we're actually sitting in the Water's Edge offices today to do this session, which is really fun to be here together.
Yeah.
So any questions about money, we're here for the Q&A today. If you've got money questions and career questions, we're going to have some time to address those. So you can put them in the chat. You can put them in the Q&A area. And Anne Marie here from our team, hey, Anne Marie, she's going to make sure that we address all your questions. This will be recorded and shared out on our YouTube. So just be aware of that if you want to anonymize yourself in some manner. All right, so to get going, let me give a little bit more background on Miss Susan here with us today. So, Susan is the wealth advisor and owner of Water's Edge Wealth Management. We met across the room at a networking event. So, networking happens, right? And it's real because our eyes met across the room and we were like, love at first sight.
Totally.
I need to talk to this woman. Who is this
Yes,
woman?
exactly.
Yeah.
And look, 7 years later,
Here we go.
ever so grateful.
This is what happens. Um, Susan's been named a five-star wealth advisor for 6 consecutive years. And in 2022, or was it 23, you were honored as a top woman in finance by the Finance and Commerce magazine.
Yeah.
No surprise, because she's a top woman in finance for sure. She has a manifesto, which I love, because I love a good manifesto as a feminist myself. So she has a manifesto of visioning a new economic model for women makers and innovators to make conscious financial decisions from a place of knowledge, strength, and security. Part of her manifesto is that your financial well-being is deeply connected to your overall well-being, that making job changes is ultimately a financial one. Whatever we choose impacts our cash flow and our net worth, and being clear-eyed about what you value in your worth are important economic decisions. She offers services such as financial planning, investment planning, retirement planning, life insurance, and annuities. So Susan, today we're going to talk for real all about money, careers, our beliefs around money, things that get us stuck, keep us stuck, and financial factors to help us when we're making a change. What do we need to think about? So I'm going to shut it up and I want to hear from you. Tell us about your journey. What led you to create Water's Edge? What led you to coming up with this awesome manifesto?
You know, it's been almost a 25-year journey. Um, and everything along the way mattered. But in 2018 was a real time for me to assess like what I wanted to do as an advisor. I was becoming more limited by the structures of financial services, quite frankly, and the way they see things should be done. And I just felt differently about how I engage with my clients, how we make change in life. And so that's when I started Water's Edge 7 years ago this July.
Oh,
And
seriously, 7 years ago this July,
mhm.
because we met 7 years ago.
And we met yeah, we
Zero
met
mistakes.
zero mistakes,
Zero
zero
mistakes.
mistakes. And I think, like it got down to like some basic things about like the tools I wanted to use and the words I wanted to say and how I wanted to engage with clients. And I think I've like the seed was there. Like I always knew like that there was that there was a better way to engage with people. But honestly, it was a seed back in 2018 and it just keeps growing now. And honestly, it changes and develops as I meet with clients, as I learn new things. It changes the dynamics of how I think financial services should be implemented in people's lives. And it's not a telling, it's an asking. And I
Mhm.
think that that's one of the things that Kate doesn't talk about is that I've worked with her. And I have a list of things about how we're different from, your typical financial services company. And one of it is we ask, we don't tell. And I think that like maybe that should be part of that manifesto too. So it's a long journey. And I have like my own very, very messy story along the way, which, I might be comfortable sharing this much, maybe someday this much, but, you know, um, single mom, jumped off the cliff with two kids and decided I was going to be an entrepreneur. And I laugh because like I get it. Like no one can come to me with a story that like I haven't like maybe personally experienced. I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm like going, yeah, I know. And so I think that really informs my the way I approach money. And I have a very interesting relationship with money, not typical probably of a lot of financial advisors. And I there's a lot of faith and belief in the things that I care about, and I put those before the money oftentimes. And when I help clients do that, it is amazing the magical things that happen. It's like we start funding ourselves instead of the stock market. I don't know, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, um, I'll stop there.
Yeah, it's true. So here's what I know about Susan. If you've got a financial advisor right now, cool, cool, cool. Here's what you need to know about Susan, though. She has helped me as a individual woman to make decisions about my money that matter to me, and she's really empowered me to do that. So where the advice I had received before in my financial background was no, don't touch that. No, don't divest. Don't move that around. Just keep that there. Keep that there. The truth is, it's my money. And while, yes, the advisors I may have worked with in the past, their job, of course, is to oversee my financial wealth and well-being over time. But there are things that change in life and where, a divorce happens or invest in a business like I do. And you have money, but you're like, well, I've been told I shouldn't access that. I've been told I shouldn't touch that. And it puts so many limitations on me as an individual, as a business owner. And what I have found with Susan is that she asks me really smart questions that allows me to think creatively and critically about the risk and reward in the financial decisions I'm making. And when I work with Susan, I never feel dumb. I never feel blamed. I never feel like I'm making a bad decision. Never. And that is really unique, and I thank you for that. And I think more women and more good people could use that because one of the things that also differentiates Susan is she loves working with creatives,
Mhm.
innovators, like the people that are not necessarily in the 9 to 5s in the corporate, right? And so this is a place that she understands really well too, and really enjoys working with people who are creative innovators, entrepreneurs, as well as, of course, people who have, long-term financial wealth and family wealth and all of that, and corporate people. So if you've got questions, yes, Anne Marie's just putting a note here that if you want to ask some questions during the session, please do. You can go right into the Q&A or into the chat, and Anne Marie will moderate that. I'm going to move forward into our first question for you. You've talked with so many people. You've been here a minute doing this kind of work, and you've also have a lot of experience in life, just being in life, right? Which matters too. So, what are some themes that you see that come up when women and smart people and creatives are making career transitions? What are some themes that come up for them as they're doing that?
Can I Sometimes people are not happy, right? And they
Yeah.
want to be happier and they actually want to maybe it isn't always about just chasing the next dollar. Maybe it's about chasing fulfillment. And it feels like either I chase fulfillment or I chase the dollar. Like
Yes.
it can't be like
Black and white.
it black and white.
Yes.
And it's not that way. I mean, we can make smart decisions about your next career move by finding out what you really want to do and then modeling that out. It's not like when I make it, like I say, you can do something and empower you to do it. It's not that I'm just saying, oh, well, just go do that. No, we look at the numbers and we say, is this going to impact your retirement? How is it going to impact your day-to-day living? How is it going to impact your expenses? And then most importantly, how is it going to make you feel if you're
Mm.
fulfilled every day doing your work, though you took a 10% pay cut? No, I'm not encouraging you to take a 10% pay cut. That's not what I'm encouraging you to do. But what I'm saying is maybe that's the case. That doesn't have to be a dumb move. It can be a
Mhm.
smart money move. And so when I
Mhm.
talk about smart money moves are about what empowers you, what fills you up in a way that you're living the life you want to live, knowing that you're not eroding your tomorrow, that you're not eroding the quality of your life because you're more filled up. You don't have to go do takeout 5 times a week. You can come home and have some space to cook.
I love that. I love that. That's really good. And helping, yeah, something with the modeling. So you can see it all on paper as you're making that choice. That's really critical, especially if you don't have a financial ride or die like I do. Just modeling out what is the forecast? What if I make this decision, what will the impact be? Because when you have the facts, it's so much easier and less emotional to make a career decision or a financial decision because it's laid out. And that's something Susan helps me do multiple times a year. It
Yeah.
was it's late. Let's see what this really looks like.
Can I do?
Yes, I come to her with questions and then she tells me, stop paying $150 a month for eyelashes. I'm like, fine, fine.
Well, you can pay $150 a month for eyelashes. You can. I mean, if that really makes you happier than,
She did ask me,
investing in
she
your
said,
business,
do you
but
really need eyelashes? And I'm like, fine, I'm done. Eyelashes are dead to me.
you don't bat my eyes anymore.
So tell me this, what are some myths that you think we should let go of around money? You've already touched on a few, like that you're making a bad decision if you take a pay cut, perhaps. But tell us a little bit more about the myths that you hear and that you see us encountering that just aren't true.
Well, I mean, that you're supposed to save, 10% in your retirement plan. I don't know. Maybe you are. I actually have clients that have too much money in IRAs. Yeah, too much.
Oh,
Yeah, it can happen. Maybe you should have been divesting that money into other kinds of accounts because now you're gonna have
mm,
huge tax bills in retirement because everything's in an IRA. And when you die, your
oh,
kids are gonna have to pay the taxes on that over a 10-year period. So some people have too much in retirement.
okay.
That's one myth. Like just put it in my retirement account and I won't have to think about it. And that's where a financial advisor, whether it's me or someone else, is really important to help you look at to see where that money is going to end up.
So what would I do if I had too much money in an IRA or so stop putting it in there? And then what kinds of things do you look at?
Well, we can put it in an investment account where the
Oh,
taxes on that are 15% when you take, well, 15% on the gains when you take it out, like
on the gains.
on the
Okay.
gains. So
Yeah.
instead of income tax, which can be 30, 35,
Unless,
40% in
unless you're a
retirement.
billionaire, trillionaire.
Yeah, and we all tend to put too much money away in retirement plans, and it's something to reassess. It's not saying that everyone does,
Hmm.
but that's especially professionals who are looking to move from one level to the C-suite or to a senior VP role. Those roles, you've got your RSUs and your all of
Restricted stock units.
all those things that are happening. And so then maybe you need to reassess what you're doing. And if you have money outside of retirement accounts, right, it's not all tied up. So that if you wanted to
Mm.
fund a business, later on. So maybe you wanted to leave corporate America and become an entrepreneur. There are, ways that you could then self-fund and, invest in the stock of you instead of,
Yeah.
the stock of the stock market.
That's interesting. And we haven't rehearsed this question, so I'm just going to ask you.
We didn't rehearse any of it.
Okay, we didn't. Truth be told, that's true.
Okay.
I was reading, and I've read this many, many times about how women who run their own businesses are self-funded at a far higher percentage. And of course, then taking money out of retirement, and then the risk that can create for women in particular if they want to start their businesses. And some people we work with at Get Her Hired are interested in pivoting into kind of independent consulting. Um, just what if Hey, give me some ideas right now, not advice, because I know you can't advise me live on TV. But what are some things I might look at for investments for my business that aren't bootstrapped, self-funded?
Well, I mean, Small Business Administration and the banks are the first place you go to, but
Hmm.
there's all kinds of statistics on how women are so underfunded when it comes to businesses. Like we get refused. I mean,
Hmm.
I've personally been refused, and I know what it feels like. It's like, what do you mean? Well, now where am I supposed to go to fund my business? So sometimes we do have to bootstrap in ways that aren't comfortable. So if you can't go the traditional routes, there's I Fund Women out there. They help come up with ideas. There's venture capitalists that only fund women. That's an idea. Um, you know, Sometimes we have to do things like pull money out of our home and do some home equity, borrow against our home, or, take money out of our investments. But why you would work with a financial advisor is you'd look at the impact of that. Like,
Yeah.
and we would look at the impact of that of like, okay, you did this and it didn't succeed. Not like, so what would the impact be if that were the case? And that's again where you go back to a smart money decision. Okay, how much money am I willing to put at risk to do this thing that I feel really passionate about?
Hmm.
And then you make the decision knowing the impact. And so, I don't know other than like the traditional routes, and then that's where like culturally, there just needs to be a shift around how women businesses get funded. Organizations like NABO are great. They help us, like at least it's a group of women in a room talking about the same issues, funding, and trying to come up with some creative ways.
Yeah, thank you. That's cool, so cool, because it's so hard to figure this piece out, and that's why I'm so happy to have you.
Well, lastly, I mean, like, don't look at it and just say, no, I don't have the money and I can't take the risk. Look at what the risk is. Like, just don't put the no before you've discovered what the impact is.
Hmm. Hmm.
Just
Yes,
don't.
just get the facts. That's what we talk about when we're talking about resumes and jobs, et cetera. It's like just get the data together and then it's not emotional. You can actually make an informed decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that are also like includes your emotions and your well-being and your whole you. That's the most important part of it, is understanding how to use your money to take care of you and the things that you love about, I mean, your family and all that too. It's just,
Yeah.
I got that family, those kids and stuff, we need to take care of that, but
Yes, we do. We
yeah.
need to. It's an honor and a privilege.
Some days.
It is. So I've got another question for you before we turn it over to Q&A. So Anne Marie, if you want to start getting the audience rumbled up here for some Q&A, because we'll answer your questions live. You can just put them in the chat. You can put them in anonymously in the Q&A, and we'll go ahead and take a look at those in just a moment. So Susan,
Yes.
what would you say to people who are currently in a job? Okay, currently in a job,
Hmm.
they're trying to decide between staying in their current role or making a change. And I probably deal with 10 new incoming calls a week, approximately, about this. Someone who's in a role but is under challenged and they think they want to make a change, right? What financial factors should they consider to make the best decision? Okay, so they've got a job, but they're thinking of going on. They're under challenged, or the culture's bad, or they're fearing layoffs, right? That's actually very, very common right now. And so they want to get ready. So, what are some financial factors to help them make that decision?
So, first of all, you need to have a financial plan with your current situation. So, when my clients come to me and ask me that question, we look at their current situation and we say, okay, if everything stays the same, this is what will happen. If you get laid off, this is what will happen. So we'll take out the income and we'll look at what a layoff could do over a 6 month, 1 year, 18-month period. Like, where would the money come from? How would it work? Or you change jobs and you get a 10% increase, and great. But oh my gosh, you get into the new job and 6 months in, you're like, I made a mistake. This is not, I mean, because those are all things, right?
Yeah,
That could
that
happen,
happens.
right? So you want to look at that as well. You want to really assess like all of the possible scenarios and what the risks with each one of them are. And then you're able to figure out, again, it just come back to what you're able to live with. And like, but being stuck and just staying because you think it's the best thing to do. I've had clients that I've been working with for 15 plus years, and I've watched it. It's not always the best decision. It's
Mm.
like you see an erosion of a mental erosion, an erosion of self-esteem, and a sort of other things that aren't great. So that's a risk too. And you have to assess that, even though it is not as a financial risk, it ultimately becomes one.
Ooh, interesting.
And that's where you have to, that's the way you have to think about money. Like, your well-being really does show up in the economics. Money's just energy. And so if our energy is like,
Mhm.
that's what happens to our money, it starts to wilt too.
Yeah, people talk to me about the golden handcuffs, right? So they're
Mm.
making so much and it's toxic and they need to leave. And I think that really relates to what you were just talking
Yeah.
about.
What
Yeah.
does that toxicity do to you? And um, like, how much money do you really need? I mean,
Nobody ever asks that question really, like as a financial
do you
advisor.
really need that much money? I mean, I don't,
You're amazing, Susan.
well, I mean, of course, I mean, well,
We're gonna do smart things with money,
right.
but doing smart things.
Well, yeah, how
Yeah.
much do you need? I have retired someone on $250,000. That's all they had, was $250,000. And we are 10 years in and they're still doing fine. Why? Because they have living the life they want to live and they don't need that much. And that's just who they are.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I don't know. You just have to understand who you are and what you really want. And I mean, if the I'm no judgment here. If the golden handcuffs are like awesome and you really think you can make it through another 7 years, do it. Do it knowing, and start planning what's next. Start making your life better today in other ways, spending more money, doing things you love.
Yeah, yeah. I know another thing you talk about frequently in the work you do is charitable giving, as well as, investing in philanthropy and that type of thing too, which is a great way
To fill yourself up and make the world
to
better.
make the world
So,
better.
cut you off, but
Oh, no, no.
yeah.
Please, you're not cutting me off.
Mm.
We're just in conversation.
Okay.
Okay, okay. Let's see. I think let's go over to questions. So Anne Marie, do we have any questions we can take a look at?
Yes. So this question came in. What are your thoughts about combining finances with your partner? What would you advise to someone who comes in with less assets to make sure that they feel like they're an equal contributor?
Wow. Okay.
Contribution isn't always about money. And when you start to monetize the things that you bring that aren't necessarily monetized, that's one way. The other way is like, you might like the other way is what's the relationship based on? Like, really, is it just about the economics? I don't know. I think that I've experienced some of this in relationship, and I think that,
Mhm.
you know,
It's scary.
it's scary, and you really have to have a lot of conversation about it. Like, you have to talk about like what's important, because you never, like, what you don't want to have happen is when things don't feel equal, to go back to, well, the other person who has more assets saying, well, I did blah blah blah. Like, it's
Yeah.
really icky. So
Yeah.
like, these are things you have to talk about. There's always going to be imbalance in a relationship, whether it's money or something else, gifts and talents. I don't know, whatever it is, maybe, parenting, you're just better at it. I don't know.
For
Whatever,
example.
for example. Yeah. So, and the other thing is, you need to have like a solid conversation before you start combining assets. One of the things you can do is, like, if expenses, say your income is 30% of the other person's income, well, then you take on 30% of the expenses. That makes it more equal, right? And that you have good ideas about estate planning and how things would get split up if you were to split up. Not all relationships make it. They make it for 20 years, and that was what it was supposed to be. Well, now it's time to go your separate ways. But if you set it up in the beginning that it's a 70-30 relationship, and you shared expenses that way, and then you split the combined assets after you were together at 30-70,
Yeah.
you have to come up with what feels comfortable. You have to have a conversation about it, and maybe multiple conversations. What you want to make sure is that you're both well taken care of in the relationship, and if something happens on the other side of the relationship, and that it's fair.
Is that something you would help someone through a conversation?
Hopefully,
Okay.
yeah, we could do a financial plan and kind of look at those scenarios and talk them through, so that, like, it's, again, a factual conversation, that then you're looking at both of your well-beings, taking care of each other, and deciding what feels right to you. Maybe it's 50-50 after you're together, but before you're together, it's not, and you don't commingle those assets.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. There's a lot to think about because, yeah, relationships change.
They
And
do change, and
yeah,
that's okay. But
yeah,
how do you want to make sure, because your intentions is that everyone is whole and comes out in a strong, best possible situation, you know?
yeah.
And if you set that up in the beginning, when things are good, then when things aren't so good, you've already thought that through.
I want to dig into the emotion behind this question. So there's a piece of emotion here in that I'm also reading that,
Mm,
they feel like they're less because
yes,
they're contributing less. So there's like a worthiness
yes, yes.
thing
And
here. Ooh,
ooh,
ouchie, ouch.
ouch is right. That's where, like, some conversation with yourself around, like, money is not about worthiness. Money is just about, like, the energy set forth, and the remuneration for that energy. It doesn't mean that your energy is any more or less. It just means that whatever it is you're doing isn't paying as much. So, like, oh well, you know, I I think that's a huge issue. That's a huge issue in appointments, is about worthiness and shame. Those are the
Mhm.
two things that always come to an appointment. And
True.
how do we work through that is really like some personal work around that issue, because you are not your bank account. That is not your value. Your
Mhm.
value is so much more than that. And it really has nothing to do with it.
Mhm. Mhm. I know in discussions we've had before, and there's a book called The Myth of Money, I think it's called, where the author talks about these myths that more is better, there's never enough, and that's just how it is. Right? There's nothing
Yeah.
we can do about it. Lynn, oh, now I can't think of her name, the author of the book. We'll put it out there at some point. But I have heard you talk about capitalism and patriarchy and how these things really contribute emotionally to how we feel about wealth and our worthiness, and how capitalism and the patriarchy. I'm just going to
It
stop
doesn't
talking.
intentional.
Please talk about that.
I mean, I love a democracy and capitalism. Let's just say that right now. They work well together generally. It's not that, but it is that some of the messages that come out really do make us feel like if we don't have, we're not worthy. And then that's where they get you. That's where they get you on the making the decisions about what you want to do with your money and disempower you. So I think that if you have the kind of relationship with your money that is just like it's a part of who you are and how you care for yourself, and that you get to make decisions about it. I'm trying to think of that list we put together right now. I'm really struggling. It's like it's authoritarian, like being an authority versus like being collaborative. It's help me, because you helped me do that list. Dang it.
Can't think of it right now.
God, I've gotten blank. I'm sorry.
But Susan has unique ways of looking at this that have helped me feel better about the decisions I'm making and how I feel about my worthiness with my money, my worthiness with my business.
That's it. When you're making good decisions,
Yeah.
you feel worthy. And so I think that a conversation around the worthiness piece with your partner, and then also really just like working with an advisor and thinking through what it really, what your financial situation looks like is the way to go.
Okay, so do we have any, I'm looking at, do we have any further questions at this point, Anne Marie? If not, we have more we can chat.
Okay. Susan mentioned about investing in yourself or self-funding versus investing in the stock market. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Looks like doing risky things. So I'm just gonna be really honest, and that don't feel great. It looks like taking a HELOC out on your house, and most financial advisors would tell you not to do that. It looks like taking money out of your Roth account to fund your business. It looks like, I mean, these are things that people don't talk about because like no one wants to admit that maybe that's what they did to get where they needed to go, and that it worked out. So you have to really assess the risk. And so you look and say, okay, if I take this HELOC for $50,000 and I fund my business, what will be the impact if the business fails? Okay. If I take 20% out of my Roth account that's not taxable, because you're an advisor and you've talked about it, what does that do to me? Like, because a Roth account's non-taxable later on, and there's all kinds of ramifications that financial modeling will let you know what the impact is of the decision. They're not comfortable decisions. Self-funding isn't comfortable. I mean, it could also be borrowing money from, families, or it could be getting an inheritance early. I mean, they're not like traditionally things that come out of a financial advisor's mouth. But like, I'm telling you, if you don't have the money and you want to do it, then it's not a dumb decision if you know what the impact is and you've decided you want to take that risk, the risk of it not working out. I mean, because if it does work out, like, then I don't know, maybe investing in yourself and you get a 15% return on your investment and you were getting 7% in the stock market. I don't know. I think you won, but you don't want to make that decision based on, like, you want to make that decision based on what could go wrong.
Yeah, it's just having the knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, self-funding is scary.
Yeah. And
Ask me, I know.
she's helped me many times on these decisions. So, and the thing that I will say about your advice to me over time has been, this is the big takeaway. It's what's right for you. and then you help me feel good about the decision. You're not punitive. You don't make me feel shame and guilt if I'm making a decision that's kind of anti-establishment type of decision. So,
Yeah, because I mean, to get things done, sometimes you have to be anti-establishment. Quite frankly, billionaires are anti-establishment. Like, and that is one of the things that I had to ask myself one day. I said, well, what would a billionaire do? And the billionaire wouldn't have considered whatever I thought was a problem. And I'm like, well, then why do I consider it a problem? Like, why do I have to act any differently? Why am I living by a different set of rules?
well, yes, we do.
We do, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you that started with Medici. I'm going to tell you this. I did some reading. I'm sorry, this is like
She's Italian, so of course Medici comes up.
well, I got this book about about Italians in the 15th century and like money. And there were like
And the
there was
merchants.
currency there was
Yeah.
a currency that the wealthy people had, and they traded on, and the things that they could buy, their currency could buy. And then there were the other people,
The plebes.
who had a different set of currency. That's like they would always be kept separate. So is that still not somehow embedded in our thinking?
Oh my gosh, Susan, yes.
I think it is.
Thank you for bringing up the Medici this morning.
Oh, yeah. There's a really great exhibition that was done at the Morgan. I mean, Medici Money and Mystics or something like that. I got anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. We have 2 questions that came in anonymously here. Are you ready to answer another question, Miss Susan? Okay. There's one here that says, I understand big picture investing for retirement, but the monthly budgeting for my husband's fun money and mine is always a strain on how much we can spend. Any advice? We both work, but I spend more often on lower cost items like clothes, and he spends more in larger items, but less frequently. So, advice on how to budget and use the fun money and have it not be a strain.
Could you look at it from an annual perspective?
Mm.
You know, like you get X amount, I get X amount. I keep track of what we keep track monthly, and then we tally up at the end of the year. So like, I don't know, especially if we did it like in November, right? You tally up and he's overspent and you haven't. Go spend, you know? I don't know. I think that it's like, I think that you got to look at it in a larger, just look at it in a larger timeline. Because if you're looking at it from month to month, it's not, it's going to be hard to see. But if you gave yourself an annual budget, each of you, and then you have to track it, of course. But we have a great financial planning software that does.
Actually, you do. Yes. It's incredible. Okay. We have another anonymous question here. As a new business owner, there's more money going out than in.
Shocking.
Shockaroony. I was just talking to my bookkeeper at Align Books about this because she's like, oh, it looks like you're in growth mode. There's more money going out than coming in. Right? It's growth mode.
Is that good on your bookkeeper?
She's good. She's also
Growth
named
mode.
Susan. She's also named Susan. Okay, so here's the question then. I know I need to spend some money to get me going, but it's tough to decide what, how much, and where. Any thoughts to help guide me through this? Okay, so she knows she has to spend money. Thoughts on what are some factors that she can use to help decide what to spend on what and where and how much when we're starting a business?
So when you're starting a business, it's growth, right? So it's going to be about the things that are going to get you from where you are right now to more later on. So if it were, for instance, inventory, you'd want to spend money on inventory because you'd want something that you could sell later. If it's marketing, like marketing is a really hard thing to spend on, but it's so important. And if you know that today your visibility is limited and that in a year it's going to be more, then you want to spend it there. Like, and the other, like, okay, I've made mistakes.
I've made 5-figure mistakes.
Okay, I can
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my first mistake was when I started Water's Edge. I had a beautiful office.
Oh yeah.
Gorgeous.
It was beautiful.
Yes. And I thought it was really important because I came from Edward Jones and I wanted my clients to feel like they had this beautiful space to come to and that, I was substantial. You know what I realized in hindsight? My clients weren't working with me because of my office. They were working with me because of me. And it didn't matter if I was in a small space or a big space. And well, I signed a 5-year lease. And COVID happened.
Oh man,
And then all
yeah.
my clients went Zoom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not it. So like, I think, okay, the point I'm trying to make is challenge what you think you need to spend money on and get really clear-eyed about what is going to make you grow and what's important to your business. And I wouldn't do that in a vacuum. I would do that with a coach or
Mhm.
an advisor of some kind, because sometimes we get stuck in our own heads and we think, oh, no, 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 no. And be open-minded and listen, because that was one of like many mistakes I made.
I find too, Susan, like there's so much bad advice out there and conflicting advice and confusing advice about what to spend on when you're starting a business. I'll just tell you my experience and I go with you, like get an advisor, get someone who actually is successful, not someone who is not yet successful. So,
Mm.
so um I would say that for me, I thought I had to, pay $3,000 for a lawyer. I thought I had to have a really big accounting firm help me with my money. I thought I had to have HubSpot immediately to get my CRM up and going. I thought I had to invest in a website and I thought I had to have all this marketing done. But the truth is, my first 50 clients came through referral. The truth is, I had a web page, it was fine, and I just needed to figure out the systems with some Excel spreadsheets, some Google Docs, a Dropbox folder, and some dry hairspray, and like dry hairspray shampoo, and just go for it with a cup of coffee. And so it was far less expensive now that I know, but I would talk to people who are already successful, not the ones who are telling you how to do it, who are not successful yet.
So
It's interesting. It's tricky, a little tricky.
and here's the other question is ask the question why.
Yeah.
Ask yourself why, and then ask yourself why again. Maybe like 3 or 4 times. Because I think would have said, if I would have asked myself the question on the big, beautiful office, maybe I would have finally gotten to why do people work with you, Susan?
Mm,
Instead of, and so like, why do people work with you?
truth.
Why are you doing what you do? So, I mean, but I'd ask myself that 5 times.
Good advice. Yeah. Why am I doing this again?
And then give yourself the answer, then ask why to that.
We have another question that just came in, Susan.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Do you have any starting tips for how to forecast the financial impact of career decisions? So, forecasting career decisions, especially across longer periods of time, when we may not know specifics of a hypothetical future job or when external factors feel so unpredictable right now. Okay. So,
Break it down.
things are unpredictable. They want to kind of forecast on the future. They don't know what will happen in the future, but what are some things that they can think about to help them think about their career money decisions? Anything come to mind?
Well, yeah, there are so many things that are uncertain, like AI and how it's going to impact our jobs and our pay and whatnot. So, like, yeah, I mean, like the first thing I thought of when you asked about like what the impact is, like what's the impact of like a lower salary longer term, and that's where planning software gets in becomes really important. So I'm trying to think outside of that. You could take an Excel spreadsheet and just put in a salary and look at it, 10 years out.
I have an idea, if it's
Good.
okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, so anonymous caller, let's say you kind of have a goal of where you want to get to in your career. And if you don't have a goal, send us a note at info@getherhired.com and we can send you a little worksheet to help you think about what your goal might be for your career. I want you then to go do some market research and see what are those roles paying. Just find out averages of what those roles are paying out in the world right now. And then from there, you can reverse engineer some forecasting with like a best case, worst case scenario, which is what she does.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
best case, it's like this. Worst case, it's like that.
Right. And then, and just get like over the, I mean, because like your retirement, if you're making less money, is going to grow less, all those things that happen. It can be done pretty easy in a planning software. And I
Yeah.
guess you could put together an Excel spreadsheet that would do that.
No, you talk to her.
So
Talk to me about your job career ideas and then talk to her about the money forecast.
was there another question in the question?
Let's see. Also, Kate is extra saucy and I love it. More an opinion piece. That gets a
Okay.
hair toss.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Oh my
God.
gosh.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah, because I think, hypothetical job futures, that's really insightful for this person to be asking that question, though, because it's not something I thought of
No,
as a young person.
well, no, I
It didn't
was,
occur to me.
mm, I did that for my son yesterday. I typed in um, how will AI impact a CFA, a certified financial analyst?
Mhm.
And sort of, and AI gave me a really long explanation, and it was like overall not, that career itself won't be impacted, but now, well, that was only one way of looking at it. There are other impacts, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I'm just bringing that one impact.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you use AI, whatever it is, and I'm a firm believer in AI and in deep thinking, both. I think we can have both of those things. But I
And
find
jobs.
and jobs. I find it to be a good thought starter and like, oh, okay, these are some things for me to then go out and research further or find out more detail about and make sure, again, we have a fact basis so we don't have to work from emotions.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
like how climate change will impact my job, how all those things will,
Yeah. 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 Well, I think we've come to the end of our questions. And I think we are just about out of time. So, Susan, leave us with one final question, or not question, leave us with one final thought or something actionable we can do on our money and our careers today.
think about what makes you happy.
Mm,
Like think about what fills you up most, and then put a dollar amount on it. I don't know, maybe it's actually something, that does like clothes shopping or something, and how much, like, so maybe you want more clothes in your life. I don't know. Time with family,
eyelashes.
eyelashes. Maybe you really do want to bat your eyes more. I don't know. Maybe that makes you happier. I put it, go back to eyelashes if it does. But yeah, what really fills you up and makes you happy? Is it like donating your time? Is it
Mhm,
donating your money?
mhm.
Like get really clear on what brings the most joy to your life, and then monetize it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Susan, where can people go to learn more about you and Water's Edge?
Water's Edge,
www.
watersedgewealthmanagement.com. New website, coming soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I wish that it would have been done before we did this, but oh well, it's not. Um,
No regrets, okay?
yeah,
No
it just is
regrets.
what it is.
We needed your info today.
Yeah, there you go. And then Susan.Cevette at watersedgewm.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. So
If you can't find her, just connect with me and I'll connect you with this lady, okay? So, and we're with Get Her Hired. Susan, thank you.
Kate, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, you pump people up in a way that is, you're so gifted. No wonder, like, I can't imagine that women who work with you just at the end, and a few good men, um, just are like, that's why they get great jobs after working with you,
They
because you've
do.
pumped them up and given them and shown them the mirror into who they really are. And that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I love just holding up the mirror for people. It's a fun
Mhm.
thing to do. Well, thank you. Thanks for everyone for joining today. Thanks, Anne Marie, for helping
Thanks.
administer today. And if you liked this and want to be involved in more of our undeniable sessions, join us on June 17th. I'm going to be giving away our 12-week summer job search plan. You'll want to come to that. It's a one-on-one. It's just me. I'm going solo bolo. So you'll see me on June 17th, and we're giving away the 12-week job search strategy. We'll answer all your questions about how to land interviews this summer. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Susan. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.